I'd like to know how many people are
Oh,
online.
wait.
Oh, shh.
Good evening, beautiful people of the internet. This is Seda Röder at the Entrepreneur's Kitchen, and I am very much looking forward to a very special episode with David Katz at the other end of the stream in Vancouver. Hi, David.
Hi.
I'm
How are
so
you?
happy. Thank you,
Oh,
thank you, thank you. Thank you so much
good.
for joining me tonight at the Entrepreneur's Kitchen. I think this
Thank
is
you.
lunchtime for you, right?
It is. It's lunchtime. Yeah, it's 12 o'clock. In beautiful
Excellent.
Vancouver, west coast of Canada. It's a beautiful spring day, and the sun is out, and it's a renewal and rebirth, and the leaves and the trees and the flowers and the blossoms and the air. It's a beautiful time of year here.
That's so cool. Well, thank you for the poetic beginning. Let me introduce you briefly to the people
Sure.
watching our stream today. So, David is not only a very interesting personality with lots of love for life and for different aspects of it, um, but also he has been a startup entrepreneur in a time where people didn't even know how to spell GPS, in his words. He was doing GPS business. So, and he sold that business and devoted his lifetime to the top 10 passions he had in life. And one of them at the very, very top is helping people, helping social people thrive with the plastic bank. And we're going to talk about that a lot because I think it's one of the most amazing ideas I have encountered in the last couple of years. Because it's not only helping the environment, but also at the same time helping people and helping businesses. So it's just, it looks like you have found the fairy tale in social business, David.
Well, it's not for the faint of heart, and in really what we are and what we've been
Mhm.
recognized by the world for, United Nations awarded 3 times for being a root cause solution to marine debris, to
Mhm.
truly stopping the flow of plastic from entering the ocean. That's really what we're doing, and to do that, it turns out that the solution is to tackle poverty, because most of the material entering the ocean is coming from areas of extreme poverty, and that's what we do. We use material as money. We'll talk about that a little bit,
Mhm.
and how profound that concept is, and how that transcends those areas of poverty to come into the developed world as well, and how we use technology to tackle that, and how transparency in the world is so important, and how having love in your soul as an entrepreneur is one of the critical factors of success, turns out.
Mhm.
And you know what, I want to, before we get to it, I think that just in reference, now I'm not sure if you were aware that in Giza they actually had discovered some new sarcophagus, if you're aware of that. So there's some new mummies discovered in the sarcophagus, and there was a new pharaoh discovered. Were you aware of that?
No, no. When was that?
Just recently, in fact, the uniqueness of it was that at that sarcophagus, the number one, they found that the mummy was comprehensively wrapped in cocoa, which was fascinating on its own, and then around it, it was all they had nuts everywhere. So it was wrapped in cocoa and nuts, and they believe that the pharaoh's name was Pharaoh Rocher. That'll be our segue into our cooking show. Although I'm not doing anything to do with chocolate or sugar, but I
That
welcome
is
you
awesome.
into a.
Okay, so from this point on, David, we're just switching roles. This was amazing. Well done, man. So, okay, what is your
Pleasure.
relationship with chocolate and what is your relationship with food in general?
Oh, I have a love affair with chocolate and food. I'm allergic, though. I've also discovered that I have a slight allergy.
Go back a little
to
because we can't see you in the yeah.
you can't see me. Okay. Well, I have a real slight allergy to pastries and to chocolate in particular. I find I've like a really weird reaction when I eat it. And I'm not sure if you've discovered this, but like when I eat pastries or chocolate, the reaction I get fat, and that and that reaction, it stays with me for quite a long time. I
Yeah, same
typically
here,
here
same
I
here.
swell a little bit, and it takes a lot of work
Mm.
for that to go away. And of course, any great cooking show, I think, should start with a glass of wine. I believe, Seda.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And so we've got a beautiful Oregon in North
same
America is my
here.
favorite region. So an Oregon Pinot Noir would be my favorite. And I discovered that
Oh, I
Switzerland
love Pinot Noir.
and
Yeah.
no, it's my, but just because it's a cooking show, and with the modern television today and internet, I'll take this aside because I have one prepared already, and so we'll bring this
Oh,
forward.
well done. Well, I remember when I was a kid in Turkey. I am Turkish, so
Yes.
so we would have these television shows made for children, and in one
Yes.
of those things, you would have a lady, an old lady, and she would show us how to make things out of
Right.
whatever
Yeah.
paper or cardboard and things.
Mm-hmm.
So she would make like houses and cars and
Yep.
whatever. And
Yeah.
but the thing is, she starts cutting and she
And
does
then it would
it so
always
fast. And she's like, but we already have one, so already made. And at the end of the show, all kids would just whine because they're just at the beginning. And she would be just already driving those cars. So but
so fun.
what are you preparing tonight?
Oh, I have this thing with Italian food. Now, you gave me this task, 3 ingredients or less. So what am I making today? I'm making gnocchi, a beautiful traditional Italian gnocchi, which can go so wrong with so many people. And done well, it is a remarkable dish. It's like eating clouds. So so 3 basic ingredients are potato, a russet potato, a very starchy potato, flour, and egg. But more importantly, the egg yolk, not the egg white.
Yeah.
And it starts with these russet potatoes. It's a very starchy potato. One of the things that people do wrong is boil the potato, and that is a mistake. You want to bake the potato. The secret to making these fluffy is to remove as much moisture as possible. So I'm going to take these potatoes and I'm going to put them in the oven for just a second, and I'll put them in. I'll bake them at about 350 degrees. But I've already have some prepared. So
show now. Oh, you're gone. Your iPad sound. Excellent. Genius. Perfect. And in the end, you will all have like these gnocchis already prepared while I'm still cutting some. You have everything. You're done actually, right? You can eat now. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm using some phyllo. Phyllo. How do you call this? The
phyllo. Yeah.
Yeah, phyllo. Some feta.
Yeah.
Feta cheese.
Yeah, you're making a spanakopita of some sort. That's what I hear.
Egg. Yes, I'm making what we Turks call it the börek. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because sometimes people tell me, why don't you prepare something Turkish? So now I'm doing something Turkish today.
So yeah. What?
Yeah, I want to jump in the conversation because now we know what we are eating. But before we start, I want to let people know that we also take questions. So it's on slide.do, and our event code tonight is 71175. 71175 on slide.do. And if you want to know anything about social impact, this is your chance. David.
Yes.
Let's talk about your top
gnocchi.
10
We can
list.
talk about gnocchi, chocolate, pastries.
Yeah. Well, no, we're
Pinot Noir.
We're going to be talking about the top 10, your list of passion. And I want to know
gnocchi,
about the
chocolate.
story. How
We're at the
come
same
that
place.
how come that
Uh-huh.
after you I mean, how did plastic bags start? Maybe I should ask the question that way.
Well, I think it started because it needed to start. And I don't think that I've encountered yet anyone that has sat back and not agreed that something had to occur about the catastrophe that was unfolding in the ocean. So it started as a necessity for life, really.
Mm.
And I don't think that's the question that you're asking, but I think it's the appropriate answer. And I mean, it needs to start, and it needed to start. And it's a show about entrepreneurship, and I can communicate that I grew an organization. I was able to, find myself immersed in becoming an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And in that journey, I was able to create an organization that didn't require my time. I was able to actually own a company in the end instead of running a company. And in the few years that I was owning the company, I found myself purposeless. And I think that was a part of the journey as well, what it was like to not have purpose. So that also led me to this. And I grew up on an island on the west coast of Canada. And 35 years ago, as a child walking to school, I was able to as well witness the degradation of the ocean. Growing up on an island, I walked the beach to go to school, and I was able to witness then plastic washing ashore. My life has taken me to the ocean's edge, and it's just been apparent for me for decades before others that something needed to be done. And as an entrepreneur, as many entrepreneurs are, they are solutions focused. If you're not solutions focused, if you're not resourceful, you die. And so we lie in that resourcefulness. We think of it all the time. What could be? How could I? Where could I? Who could I? And we look for solutions, and that's what we do as entrepreneurs. And that's where it came from. And I'm not sure if that's a question that you're asking either.
No,
but I could tell you about my gnocchi, though. That I can tell you about.
I mean, we call this the entrepreneur's kitchen, but the last thing we talk about, the first thing we talk about is food, and then the last thing we talk about is food. in between, we talk about all sorts of things, and we tell jokes, mostly appropriate ones. But I mean, let's talk about this concept around social plastic. What does that mean?
Well, so we've created a global organization that monetizes the material. We maybe are best exemplified as a global chain of stores for the poor, where everything in the store is available to be purchased using plastic garbage, like school tuition and medical insurance and Wi-Fi and cooking fuel and anything the poor need and couldn't afford, now available using plastic garbage as payment. And we've created maybe what I express as well as a currency exchange. I mean, we're a plastic bank, if as the name implies. We are a bank branch, deposit plastic garbage by mass and withdraw the things you need the most. So it's really a way that we've monetized the material. And inside of all of it is a blockchain-based banking application that provides financial inclusion. It provides a way for the world to gain credit rating and to have the ability to substantiate your debt service ratio. I can substantiate now to the world how much money I can possibly make, so I can substantiate how much I could borrow at low interest rate loans. And so it uses plastic as a way for the world to substantiate their worth, which is incredibly
I think you're
powerful.
going to be getting a Nobel Peace Prize at some point.
That's kind. Thank you. And in the consideration, it really is a Nobel-worthy idea. If we consider that the world, there's 9.3 trillion kilos of plastic on the earth. Almost all the plastic we've ever produced is still here. 9.3 trillion kilos. The material is $1, $2 per kilo. I mean, even if we take, say, 50 cents per kilo, we've inadvertently deposited $4.5–5 trillion worth of value on the planet. It's estimated that 500 billion could end extreme poverty in the world.
Yeah.
Now, I would argue that we've inadvertently been depositing the very value that could end all suffering, all malnourishment, all injustice in the world. And we know that if we get society to a place where they're not scared as much, that there's less fighting, there's less injustice amongst people.
Yeah.
And so there's a beautiful opportunity inside all of it. Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's one of the topics that really moves me a lot when we think about all these artificial scarcity models in economy, you know.
Well, I would say that any publicly traded company is that. Where's my return? Where do the shareholders benefit first at the expense of the society? I would say traditional capitalism lives in that space, traditionally.
I really want to know more about how the model works in real life. So how does my journey then go if I'm working, or do you even call the people employees, or how does that work?
No, they're not people. We call them people. For the society, it's people. We create locations like what's unfolding now in our partnership with Henkel. Is that we're now opening Egypt. And so, beginning in, Alexandria and then Cairo, where every mother has the ability now to just not throw her garbage away anymore. It doesn't go in the waste bin. She collects it and segregates it, separates it, and then brings it to a plastic bank location where she already has an account or has created an account. And then the value is transferred into a bank account for her. She has the ability to immediately transact it into cash, or she can pay for the things that she needs. And inside of it, she gets a bank account, which she may have, and most probably, had never had before. Egypt, certainly continues to. Did you have a comment?
Yeah. Well, I'm in awe. So, so that my comments mostly tonight will be like, oh my God, oh, wow, look at. So, but I actually do have a question.
Sure.
So when you think about Europe, for instance, in Germany, for instance. They have this model around, you always have to recycle. You always have to bring your stuff back to either to the supermarket because it costs lots of money. So with glass and with plastics, you pay like 50 cents per bottle.
Remarkable.
And
of course,
exactly. And does that model not work in other parts of the world? Why is not feasible?
Yeah, it works powerfully. It works powerfully in Canada. Of course, that's what has to occur. It's just the governments don't implement it. There's a lot of lobbying against it. It's not dissimilar to, we're not dissimilar to that. It's a bottle deposit program, call it that. Ours, we just do it by mass. There is no bottle deposit scheme. I mean, there's billions of dollars in the bottle deposit scheme within Germany. Billions. I mean, we deal with governments that only have a $10 billion economy. So they're not putting billions of dollars into a bottle deposit scheme. They don't have the ability to feed their citizens. So they're not in the consideration of doing that. And so that's what we do. And we just do it by mass. We just take the value of the material and share it. And we just make sure that the people who are collecting it make the most, to give them an incentive. I use the metaphor of fields of diamonds. That if you're walking over a field of diamonds and you see them shining in the sun, and you want to pick them up, but then you remember at the same time as you go to pick them up that, well, there's no store that you could spend the diamonds at, and no one will exchange anything with you, and there was definitely no bank that you could deposit the value of the diamonds into. Did you pick them up? No, probably they just sit on the ground like rocks. So our presence in communities is the bank that makes the value of that diamond worthy, and that automatically increases collection rates. There's a conversation that a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. I can't convince someone, right? We can't. You can't. Have you ever won a political argument? Have you ever argued someone into change when they didn't want to, when they had an opinion? You never win. It's not possible. And so it's the same as with recycling in communities. For me to go to someone and tell them and convince them that they need to be recycling is not going to occur.
Yeah.
It's not going to occur. I can't tell him. And I'm amazed at how many people say, David, why don't you just tell the poor? Don't they know all those bad people? They should be recycling. Don't they know? No, they don't. They might not know. They don't care. They don't have food. What do they care about your beach holiday? They don't.
Absolutely. No.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So you've got to meet them there. But that's only half the story, though.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's only half the story because the
What
other
is
half of the story, the other half of the story is finding people who want to use that material.
Yeah.
Because we put it back into the circular economy. We make sure that it gets used by corporations. That's a task on its own. You wouldn't think that would be the hard part, but it turns out that's the hard part. You think that going into communities of extreme poverty and violence and ignorance and ideology would be the difficult part, and it's not. Going in and creating a collection infrastructure, that's not the difficult part. Having big corporations use a material that might cost them a few pennies extra, that's a challenge.
Well,
right? So traditional capitalism.
But you're quite, you're quite successful in mastering that. Yeah,
it's coming.
Mastering that challenge.
Yeah,
So
that's what we had to do. When we
think about the recent developments around environmental activism, would you say that it also paid into what you have been building up the last couple of years?
Ask the question again. Environmental activism.
Yeah, whether
the society's demand.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, what happened was actually, in the last 2 years with figures like, Greta Thunberg, suddenly this whole topic around environment became really, really hot. So in such a way that in boardrooms, companies started talking about environment as a risk factor for business sustainability.
Here, this is what's occurring. Let's be clear. The great companies invest in what will be and not what is. If you overinvest in what is and not what will be, you will be out of business. And what is coming is the next generation of consumer, the Gen Z. And it's going to become even more relevant now. The Gen Z is the 17, 18-year-old who grew up in their childhood through the financial crisis. They grew up in a period of extreme instability. They might not have understood what that meant, but they saw the news and the conversations and their parents in consideration of their homes and losing their homes and losing their work. And they grew up in that fright. Now, at the end of that, just as that ended, they were overwhelmed with climate change. They were ocean acidification and marine debris and global warming, and they're scared. It's an entire generation, and now even at the same time, now we have this pandemic. You have an entire generation of youth who are freaked out, and what they're looking for is someone to come by and say, "I've got it. It's okay. I'll make sure things are okay." And if you show up with a plastic bottle full of chemicals that's going to degrade the environment and kill the ocean, they're not going to do business with you.
Yeah,
that's what's occurring.
Awesome.
So
well, actually, there are questions already coming in too, David.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
like,
exactly.
How's my gnocchi making?
Yes. Well, we see your gnocchi is being beaten.
It's cut. It's being cut. The secret is to use a potato that's dry. You take all the moisture out of it, and then you don't even fold it because you don't want to cause gluten. So you want it to be very light. So you have to fold the flour inside of it. And that's why I would even only use the potato or the egg yolk and not the egg white, because I don't want to do anything that's going to create gluten or binding. So I'll even only fold it. And so once I've made you've made a nice dough out of it, then you can roll it. That's the real secret. So dry potato, no boiled, baked only, russet potato full of starch, and you cut. the flour in it as you make a pastry.
It looks
That's making
really,
gnocchi.
really good already. So
Thank you.
couldn't your
Mhm.
model, so this is one of the questions, couldn't your
Yeah.
model be applied to other waste resources as well?
Oh, no question. No. Listen, we're not. Listen, and the
Mhm.
whole application that we built, it's material agnostic. I mean, plastic is critically important and relevant, and we need to be in the consideration of all of that. But I mean, paper, aluminum. I mean, our ecosystems collect everything now.
Mhm.
And in what we've created, we've created a way for, even like, if you want to go and collect used boats and trade those, then you should be able to do that as well. I mean, we've
Mhm.
created a gig economy model that facilitates the circular economy. That's the technology. It's in partnership with IBM, this
Mhm.
blockchain technology that creates a monetary system. We've created a banking platform for the world. And the more often that they return the material with greater quality and greater frequency when they engage their social circle, that's when we give them a credit rating.
Mhm.
And that's when they have
That
access
is,
to other tools,
mhm. That's
right?
really great. And when you think about the whole, I mean, production, so you help plastic to be collected before it enters the ocean. But how about the
That's
production of it? So would you say that you would be at one point really happy if this kind of social business, even this kind of social business, would be redundant because there is no more plastic waste?
well, yeah. Listen, be clear,
Hmm.
and look at even what's occurring now during COVID. Plastic usage is skyrocketing. Plastic's not going away. No, what we need to advocate for is the elimination of virgin plastic. There's 9 trillion kilos of plastic on the earth. We have to stop making new plastic, period. That's
Yeah.
what has to be created,
Yeah, I totally understand. And
right?
another question is, what happens to the plastic once it is deposited?
Well, that what we do is we've created so let's say that you're one of our collectors and you live in Haiti or in the Philippines, and you have been trained by us to be, in hygiene and care and what materials have values, and you go out, you make your business during the day to go find the material. We might have given you a cart, or you would have earned a cart, and gloves and hygiene products to keep yourself safe. And you go collect the material during the day, and at the end of the day, you bring it back to one of our locations where the material is checked for quality, it's weighed, and the value is agreed upon, and then it's deposited into your bank account. Now we
Mhm.
take the material, it's further segregated, and by color and by type, and the caps and the labels and the rings are removed or whatever else. We check for impurities, and then that material we ship to our processor,
Mhm.
um, also a local company owned by locals. Our management are traditionally around the world, or female executives who are stewarding families.
Mhm.
And that processor then adds value by either cleaning the material, by flaking it, by shredding it, or pelletizing it.
Mhm.
And once that is done, we sell that material to our customers, who then put it back in their packaging. I mean, it's very simple, really simple, but
Yeah,
incredibly complex to have achieved. Yeah.
absolutely. And also, there's as someone in with a musical background, there is always lots of beauty in simplicity. So
Yeah.
it's really,
Right.
really, yeah. It doesn't
Right.
always have
3
to be
ingredients or
complex.
less. No, not at
Absolutely.
all. Right. I think there's some Einstein quote that attributes that, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it enough.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I mean, you must be encountering so many beautiful stories. Is there something in your mind right now that where you
Well, there's
where
always
you
the
say like,
first,
yeah,
for
well,
sure.
but where
Of
you say like,
course.
this was the whole pain, the whole setting this, putting this together, it's all worth it.
Yeah, I experienced it in Haiti. Like we remember the first times. And I remember with one of our collectors, because we create cooperatives as well, but one of our collectors that had, small girls. He forgive me while I kind of look for something at the same time.
No, go
With
ahead, go
he
ahead.
had he had a few small girls, and we were just having this beautiful conversation, and for the first time in his life, he was able to look at me, and I could see him have this realization all at the same time, everything that was occurring in his life. And he was able to look at me, and he was just so thankful for Plastic Bank and everything that was occurring. And he was like, David, I can see my children going to university now. And that was powerful, because we took someone who could only think of the end of the day previously, only looking to see how they could feed his children today, to give him a 10 or 15-year timeline. He was now able to see into the future, and he was only able to see in the future because he discovered within himself self-mastery, self-autonomy. He knew that he could achieve it on his own now. And that was powerful for me, because with him, as I've seen in a lot of other people, I actually got to see the end of poverty. Like, you could kind of see it leave him, this realization now, a new way of thinking. Incredibly powerful. I think it was.
It's unbelievably powerful. And when you were talking in the beginning about purpose, what, in your opinion, is purpose then?
That's a good question. What's purpose? A reason greater than self, a reason, a love, an abundance. It's being in connection with the present moment. It's being in a place that is above self, service of others. It's, wow, so many things. It's a really good question. What's purpose? I don't know. What is purpose? For me, it's to be in this verb of love, in the action of life. I mean, it's communicated all the time. Oh, love people, but people have it mixed up. They think that love is a feeling, and love the feeling is the fruit of love the verb. So for me, it's, what have I done for people? Who am I for the world? What's been created? How did I see you? How did I serve you?
And
there's
once
more to it.
I mean, once the plastic bank, what, in your opinion, is when is your job done, so to speak?
When there's no waste on the, it's not when there's no plastic, it's when there's no waste.
Yeah.
And when everything is returned, we're urban mining. We create a place where, nothing is, there is no waste stream, right? All organics return to soil, all other materials are used. And certainly there still has to be a comprehensive change in the materials that manufacturers are using to put out stuff that is not recyclable is, I think, treason. Like you get like the big corporations who are, using these multi-layer sachets that are comprehensively non-recyclable. And they have this story about, oh, but the poor need, little sachets of shampoo and things. No, they don't. They don't need a conditioner that they need to feel attached to, that they now feel less because their hair might not be shiny. They need quality hygiene products at low pricing. A little sachet that has a few milliliters of product that comprehensively degrades their environment and the ocean is not what they're after.
No.
So to put out products that kill the society and kill the soul is treasonous. Right? So watch where you invest.
Yet we kind of seem to have not been able to put our fingers off this. I mean, this is the 35th episode of Entrepreneur's Kitchen, and we had all sorts of people from all sorts of different walks of life, and we had really, beautiful people working for also larger corporations. And one thing that you think is, there are so many beautiful people in these corporations. Why is it still not working?
Good question.
How
Crazy.
is that even possible?
I don't know. Right? You take them out for dinner and they're ocean advocates. You put them in their office and they care less.
Well,
It's
Yeah,
remarkable.
I'm puzzled.
Everyone has a mortgage to pay. Me too.
Yeah.
Everyone's
But I
afraid.
mean, does the job you're doing right now pay a mortgage?
It doesn't have to pay a mortgage. It can be a beautiful supplement. So now, is your question in reference to our collectors on the ground?
Well, I mean, we can also go to them, but you know, sometimes you hear, of course you can be a philanthropist, of course you can be in social business because you don't have to worry about the rest anymore. So
listen, unless you are doing good in the world, you're not going to be in business. Let's be clear. I mean, the risk is if you don't have purpose in your company, if you show up just for the sense of self, you're not, people won't do business with you. That's a fact. That's a fact. So of course it's going to pay your mortgage. Of course you have to be doing that. I have no other way moving forward. Plus, and I think that what we've found to be more powerful is that when we query our customers and say, really, what were some of the driving factors? Their conversation is, well, we're having trouble hiring staff. People don't want to come and work for us because we don't have purpose. There's no reason for them to be here. Like everybody else as well, they want to give their life into making the world a greater place. How do we regenerate society? That's what we're entering. It's sort of the regeneration economy. It's not the, sustainability and conversations around sustainability. Those conversations are passé. They're shallow. They're weak. Like, oh, I'll do less damage this year than I did last year. What? That doesn't hold water anymore at all.
Yeah, and what do you think all about this notion around greenwashing?
People are greenwashing all the time. Like the big corporations are just total greenwashers. What have the big corporations done? Now, Henkel Family Company, they're powerfully trying to change the world. It's beautiful. S.C. Johnson, a family company as well, powerfully trying to change the world. Our customers are values aligned. They want to actually make change, but they're family companies. I don't see other publicly traded companies that are actually there for society. They act on behalf of the shareholders. It's the CEO's fiduciary duty to act on behalf of the shareholders first, and to do something that actually creates an expense that jeopardizes shareholder return or profitability is illegal.
Do you remember from last year the Business Roundtable statement in the US where top 100 CEOs of the US companies have put their signatures below shareholder versus stakeholder? So you don't believe in that?
I believe in action.
Yeah.
I believe in seeing their results. I believe in seeing them make change. I don't believe in a CEO making commitments for 10 years from now because they won't even be in the company. I would like to see a CEO be in action today.
Yeah.
I can't hear what you say because what you do screams so loudly.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have
lots
of questions. You have lots of questions coming in. Wait, people are interested in so many things. One question here is, do you have competitors?
Oh, I wish. Oh my goodness. I wish.
This is the one business where you want to have competitors.
Yeah, and if we had competitors, the only way people would be able to compete is to give the poor more. So competition would be profoundly important for the societies we work in. They would have to be doing something so powerful to receive the material from society that it would only be a win. A competitor would be a comprehensive win for us. That's why I believe in the right to copy, not copyright. We want to share what we do with people.
Yeah.
Right? We want to share it with society so that they can as well do what we're doing. Like how else can they do it? And I'm just so competitive. I'm inspired by competitors. Like, oh, what might they be doing differently? What didn't I see before? Where wasn't I strong before? How do I combat against that? How do I become more creative in better solutions for society and for humanity?
Yeah, that's really inspiring. Another question is more technical. What do you need the blockchain for? How do you use it exactly?
Well, there's authenticity inside of it. Do we have to have it? No, we don't. But if we want to have a supply chain that is verifiable in its impact, that isn't open to scrutiny, that ensures that the money is returned to the poorest of the poor, then yeah. And if we want to make sure that we can help eliminate the mafia, then yeah. If we want to, and I have a conversation around the blockchain. It's, I use a binary example in data, right? A binary, like zeros and ones. And what the blockchain allows us to do is to understand that is authentic, that is the truth. And so let's look at truth and non-truth. If I look at non-truth, lies, fabrication, does it have any value? Not really, no. So let's give that a value of 0. When I look at truth, then I'll give it a value of 1, something I can rely on. And so when I give something of no value 1,000 units of energy, I get 0.
Yeah.
If I apply energy to that is not true, I go nowhere. And in a small margin business like this, I need to apply my energies to that I know is true.
Yeah.
So I can multiply as fast as possible value.
And you said you are working with IBM to use their blockchain infrastructure?
Yeah, IBM was our original partner that helped substantiate the architecture for what we've built. And we are on a Hyperledger fabric that is IBM's blockchain platform, Hyperledger.
That's really cool. And when you look for collaborators, what are your priorities? What kinds of well done. What kinds of qualities you ask for? Would there be, for instance, a company where you would say, I will never cooperate with them? I mean, you don't have to name one, but what are the
people get to redeem themselves. I'm never going to say no.
Yeah.
It's who am I to judge? I mean, you're not who you were 5 minutes ago. You can have a paradigm shift of life and be something comprehensively new within a blink of an eye. So we'll never say no to anyone. However, we recognize that the best quality candidate to work with is someone who already wants to do what we're doing. It's a great sales conversation. You've got entrepreneurs on this call. So, the conversation here is only sell to people who want what you have. Why would you sell to people who don't want what you have? Right? I mean, it's really important. I mean, how many people that may be on the call have been trying to sell to people who don't, they're trying to convince them against their will. Oh no, you should buy my product because it's going to save you money or whatever it might be. But the customer's like, I just don't want what you are offering. But no, trust me, you should buy it. Right? And how many people have actually gone through that process, trying to sell someone something that they don't need or want? So for us, we're focused on people who already want what we have. And they want to change the world. And they want to help save the ocean. And they have love in their heart. And they want to add value into the world. Those are people we want to work with, not people who want to take value.
Yeah, another question. Lots of rain of questions here. Did you ever think about how large plastic users, I think with users, they mean corporations, can be incentivized to use this kind of recycled plastic, the social plastic?
There certainly should be a taxation on virgin plastic.
Yeah.
There should be a taxation on virgin plastic that administers that funding into the creation of recycling infrastructure and the incentive to use recycled content. That's a for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Has to occur.
And I have two kids. We have two kids, I and my husband together. When he hears it, he's like, you always say you have these.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
We always laugh about this. But we have two kids. And sometimes, you also, and I recently heard that one of the worst things you can actually do is buy toys that have some sort of plastic parts in them, because all those plastic parts are virgin plastics.
True.
So my question in that case is also: is this really, really necessary? Where does that notion come from that we need virgin plastic?
There's going to be some instances where, within pharmaceutical, medical, there's some things where the properties of the material can't be compromised. There's no risk. Perhaps in automotive or some safety equipment, things like that. But let's be clear, the technology exists to return the material back to virgin-like properties now. All the technology that the world needs to solve all of our issues exists. There's processes that use pressure and heat to return the material to liquid. Then it is returned to a virgin state. There's chemical recycling. There are all kinds of processes that return the material to virgin qualities. So there is no need for new plastic. None.
Yeah. But we are yet we're still here and talking about this. So obviously there is a huge there is a plastic,
because it costs a little bit more. It costs more. There is, of course, there is. No question. Of course there is. Led by the multinational petroleum companies. Of course.
Wow.
They continue to make giant investments in it. So, we'll see. Change is coming. Let's see what's occurring. Right?
And food is coming too. Look at this. Can you believe this? Look.
What's coming?
Food.
Yeah.
Look at my food. Can you see my food?
I can't see you at all.
Oh, weird. Why not? Well,
I don't know.
I have. My food really looks good. I'm going to make a picture for you so you can see it. No worries.
No, now I see you. What did you make? I didn't see you at all.
I
What is
made
that?
the pastry, Turkish pastries. The
that's what you're making. I got it now.
Yes, look.
That's beautiful. Those look delicious.
Yes, they're warm and they smell really well. So I'm just going to put them aside.
Nice. I love it.
Exactly, because my family got used to eating, a late night meal after the entrepreneur's kitchen now. But we also have the same condition. We kind of expand.
You're allergic. You're also allergic. I got it.
Exactly. Well, David, we're almost at the end, so 2 or 3 more minutes. And since we had such a profound conversation, and I want to hear a joke, and this part is usually the weird part of Entrepreneur's Kitchen, but we love it. And I'm hoping that you're going to tell a joke that I can get, because
I started with a joke.
Well, you're like, I want to leave it by that. Really?
I started with a joke.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you have knock knock jokes in Germany? Do you know knock knock? Do you know knock knock?
We don't have. I don't think we have knock knock jokes, but we love them. So, and since
you love them, okay. Okay, but you know how a knock knock joke goes, right? You knock knock, and then you go, "Who's there?" And then they say, and then they say, "Who?" Okay, so I'll get everyone to participate as well. This is a fun one. But so you take your finger, watch it, and you go like this. Okay. Go like that. Okay, good. Okay, so no, don't stop. Keep doing this. Okay.
I will.
Okay, so go. Okay, so knock knock.
Knock knock.
I say knock knock, and then you say.
Oh, who's there?
Yeah. And now you say,
what do I say? I'm
well, and so like, well, okay, so slow down. We'll take your finger down because this will be fun. So if I'd go knock knock. You'd say yeah. You'd say who's there, and I would say like red. I'd say red, and you'd go red who.
Red
right?
who? Okay.
And then right. So that's how it goes. So that's the structure of the joke, and then the punchline comes at the end of that.
Okay.
So now I'll get you to do this again. So now you know how it works. Okay, so you go like that. So I go now. I say knock knock, and you say
who's there?
I say knock knock, and who's there? And I say yeah. Keep going like
yeah,
this. Okay, so
yeah. What? Yeah, who? I'm totally fucking this up, right?
You go. But you got it. We'll start it.
I think this is already funny because this this
I
is
think
too
other
much.
people,
2
when they're
days
watching,
in a
they would have
row.
gotten, because this is Yahoo. You're going Yahoo, like you're a cowboy. You see.
Okay, I think
cute.
either I have to I'm not very good at getting jokes. But that's the fun part with the Entrepreneur's Kitchen. And
fun.
I have an excuse. I've been married to a German for too long.
Oh, no sense of humor.
That's his voice. Yeah. Okay. Then since we've been talking about waste and
yes.
How do you drown a hipster?
How do you drown a hipster? I don't know. How do you drown a hipster?
You throw them in the mainstream.
Oh! I like it. That's awesome.
Yeah, me too. Well,
That's
David,
beautiful.
I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm sure your gnocchi will be delicious when you're enjoying it with your partner. And I'm really, really grateful to have the chance to converse with you tonight. I'm looking forward to hearing all your success stories and to your Nobel Prize at someday in the future. And I will be like, I know David. Look at them.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
And please stay in the line for a couple of more minutes.
Okay, I'm here.
Excellent.
I've got gnocchi to make.
While I say goodnight to the people of the internet. So, guys,
okay, here I am.
So much. Yeah, thanks you so much for
goodbye,
joining
everybody.
Me tonight
Thank you.
At the Entrepreneur's Kitchen, you've heard David's voice one last time. Tomorrow we're meeting here again, and it's going to be very, very different. We have a guest tomorrow who is an astrologer. Do you say astrologer or astrologer?
Astrologer.
Yes.
Astrologer.
Astrologer, exactly. So he's an astrologer, and he's going to talk about 2020. It's been a weird year. So if you want to hear about this year from a very different perspective, tune into Entrepreneur's Kitchen tomorrow, and we will hear lots of interesting stories about the stars and about our future. So I want to thank you again for joining me tonight. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, hearing from you. Goodbye.